Governor Kelly and a bipartisan group of Kansas legislators announced on Friday that an early childhood compromise bill was introduced into both chambers of the Kansas legislature, and this bill streamlines the child care licensure process and consolidates existing early childhood programs into the Office of Early Childhood. Governor Kelly said that by consolidating services, they can better support the youngest Kansans and provide communities with the tools they need to increase access to affordable quality care. She said this compromise agreement will increase government efficiency, transparency, and accountability while streamlining how they provide these critical services, allowing Kansas to support young families, businesses, and communities in every corner of the state. Under this proposal, early childhood licensure and regulatory structures would be streamlined by clarifying professional qualification requirements and developing clear career progression pathways for early educators. This bill also authorizes the use of pilot programs for new licensure categories and eliminates the fee required for child care licensure. The bill consolidates nearly 20 existing state programs designed to support children and families into a single entity, the Office of Early Childhood. And these programs include child care licensing, child care subsidy, home visitation, the current operations of the Kansas Children's Cabinet and Trust Fund, and Head Start programs. This proposal follows the recommendations of the Early Childhood Transition Task Force, which Governor Kelly formed by Executive Order 2301, and collaboration between the governor's office and legislative leaders during the 2024 legislative session. A similar proposal was previously passed by the Kansas House of Representatives by a vote of 110 to 10, with both Republican and Democratic leaders supporting it. The bill was introduced in the House Commerce, Labor, and Economic Development Committee and in the Senate Federal and State Affairs Committee. A supermajority of the Kansas House and the Kansas Senate sent SB 63 to Governor Kelly on Friday, and this is the first bill to reach her desk this session. The Help Not Harm Act, SB 63, ensures that minors cannot receive puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, or surgeries for the medical purpose of treating gender dysphoria, and it includes a provision to allow children who are already on cross-sex hormones for this medical purpose time to wean off of the hormones. This bill is already passed in 23 states and has been upheld by multiple appellate courts. It passed the Senate 32 to 8 and the House 83 to 35, and it now goes to the governor. Brittany Jones, the Director of Policy and Engagement for Kansas Family Voice, said this bill is about regulating medical procedures for a specific medical purpose. It's not about the specific patients who may be seeking this care. She said legally these children cannot consent to many other things like tattoos, smoking, or even tanning beds. However, there's no informed consent requirements or even basic reporting for this procedure. This is a time to once again step up and protect children, as 23 states have already passed similar laws. She says they want to thank the bipartisan supermajority that supported the bill, and they will call on Governor Kelly to allow SB 63 to become law. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation is investigating a fatal officer-involved shooting that occurred Friday morning in Grainfield. According to a media release, at around 7:45 a.m., the Gove County Sheriff's Office was dispatched to a disturbance call in Grainfield, and when the deputy arrived, he entered the residence to find two men in a heated argument. The deputy determined that 39-year-old Ty Kaiser had hit his 63-year-old male relative in the face, and the deputy then gave commands for Kaiser to get down. He initially complied, but then stood back up and attempted to leave the scene, ignoring the deputy. The deputy deployed a taser, which was ineffective, and angered Kaiser further. Kaiser then charged toward the deputy, hitting him in the head, face, and body. The deputy pulled out his firearm and fired one round, striking Kaiser. The deputy attempted life-saving measures until EMS arrived and transported Kaiser to Gove County Medical Center, where he was pronounced deceased. The deputy and relative were hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries, and the deputy was released from the hospital on Friday afternoon after an evaluation and is recovering from his injuries. The 63-year-old was transferred to the hospital in Hayes for further treatment. This independent investigation aims to discover all events leading up to the officer-involved shooting, and in police use of force cases, the KBI releases details to the public as soon as possible. This information is preliminary in nature and is based on evidence collected in early statements of the parties involved, witnesses, medical personnel, and others, though it does not represent final or thorough findings, which take several weeks to complete. In Nebraska news, troopers with the Nebraska State Patrol arrested one person early Sunday morning after a standoff in Hitchcock County. 38-year-old Keenan Jorschchump was arrested for making terroristic threats, use of a deadly weapon to commit a felony, and third-degree assault. At 5:15 p.m. on Saturday, the Hitchcock County Sheriff's Office asked the patrol for help in an investigation in Stratton after the Sheriff's Office was called to a home near Hamilton Street and Nebraska Avenue for Jorschchump threatening a family member with a handgun. According to the patrol, the family member was able to exit the house, and deputies determined Jorschchump was alone in the house. The Nebraska State Patrol SWAT team, crisis negotiators, and drone operators made numerous attempts to talk to Jorschchump, but he didn't respond, and troopers then used the drones and police dogs to find his location in the house before entering the home. Just after 3 a.m., troopers entered the home and found Jorschchump hiding in the basement. He was taken into custody without incident. Jorschchump was lodged in the Lincoln County Jail. The Lancaster County Sheriff's Office seized over $800,000 worth of prescription drugs during a traffic stop on Wednesday near Lincoln. Captain John Vick reported that at around 11:15 a.m., investigators pulled over a Chrysler Pacifica following too closely on Interstate 80 just north of Lincoln. Investigators had probable cause to search the vehicle and found THC products, large amounts of cash, and multiple bags containing prescription drugs. And the drugs, several of which are used to treat HIV, are valued at over $840,000. Through work with the agency's state and federal partners, investigators learned that criminal organizations acquire these drugs through healthcare fraud schemes, and criminals then profit at the expense of HIV patients. The Sheriff's Office is not releasing the identity of the suspect, as an investigation is ongoing with Homeland Security.